Most people live caught in the weakest version of themselves. They settle for what life offers instead of going out to conquer what they really want. They complain instead of acting. They seek for excuses instead of solutions. They fear failure more than they want success. But the real tragedy is not that people are weak, but that they have. Let me tell you something. Your fate is not fixed in stone. If you see weakness as your identity, you believe it to be yours. You can rewrite it, you can change, and you can become the strong, orderly, disciplined, and forceful person you were always to be. You don't have to stay the weak version of yourself. Stoicism provides the roadmap to do otherwise. Discipline is my freedom, for instance. Your remark may help someone else transform their life. So, keep till the very last and remember to like, subscribe, and activate the little bell so that YouTube informs you every time. Your greatest freedom is discipline. Freedom comes from having the ability to do what is right rather than from doing what we want. Discipline is what divides the strong from the weak, the successful from the failed, the leaders from the followers. No talent is more vital than the capacity to act as required. Do it when it should be done, even if you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is the basis of everything. Think about it for a moment. Who do you think is freer? The man who gets up early, takes care of himself physically, works on his goals and strengthens himself mentally, or the one who sleeps late, feeds on garbage, procrastinates, and gets carried away by his emotions? The answer is obvious. The first rules his life. The second is a slave. Most people believe that freedom means doing what they want, but that's a lie. True freedom is self-control. If you don't have discipline, you're not free. You're a prisoner of your emotions, laziness, comfort, and mediocrity. Look at elite athletes, successful entrepreneurs, great philosophers, historical leaders. All of them have built their greatness on the basis of discipline. They did not wait to feel motivated. They did not depend on circumstances. They did not give in to laziness. They made the decision to get up every day and do what is necessary without excuses. How does this lesson help you to eliminate the weak version of yourself? If you are not disciplined, you live on whims. One day you decide to exercise, but the next day you say, I am tired, and you leave it. One day you say you're going to save money, but then something tempting comes along and you spend everything without thinking. If you live on emotions, you'll never move forward. Discipline gives you structure, order, control, makes you the owner of your life. Here's the secret. Discipline is not about doing big things overnight. It's about doing small things every day, regardless of whether you feel like it or not. If you decide to get up early, do it every day without excuses. If you decide to exercise, do it even if your mind says, today I don't feel like it. If you decide to study, learn to block out distractions and focus. When you do this, you realize something powerful. Your emotions stop controlling you. You no longer depend on the motivation. The moods of the day. If something seems boring or tiring to you, you become a soldier of your own destiny. How to apply this lesson in your life? Eliminate the mentality of I do what I want when I want. If you let your mind decide based on what provokes it, you're lost. Don't depend on emotion, depend on commitment. Start with small daily habits. People think that discipline is doing huge and difficult things. Start with something small. Make your bed, read 10 pages, wake up 10 minutes before, do 10 push. UPS have a purpose, of course. If you don't know why, what do you do something? It will be difficult to maintain discipline. Have a strong reason for every action. You don't exercise just to do it. You do it because you want to be strong. You don't save money just to save. You do it because you want a financial. Don't negotiate with your mind. The problem for many is that when the time comes to do something, they get into an internal debate. Do or don't go to the gym, Leo, or watch Netflix. Stop negotiating with you. Discipline is not optional. It's an order. Reward your progress, but no, with excessive rest. After a week of complying with your routine, you can give yourself a small reward. But don't use discipline as an excuse to relax too much. If you relax too much, you will fall back into mediocrity. Lesson 2. Master your emotions or they will dominate you. The most powerful man is the one who owns himself. Seneca. Listen well. This, the biggest enemy you have, it's not outside. It's inside you. It's not your boss. It's not your family. It's not the economy. It's not your own mind, your lack of emotional control. People tend to believe that strength is about imposing yourself on others, shouting louder, reacting aggressively when things don't go their way. But in reality, The biggest sign of weakness is being a person who gets carried away by their emotions like an uncontrolled puppet. Stoicism teaches us that true power is not in controlling others, but in controlling ourselves, because when you master your emotions, you dominate your life. Why most people fail in this lesson? Because they have been trained to react, not to act wisely. Think about this. Someone insults you on the street. What do? You shout. Insults you, react with anger. Someone doesn't respond to a message, you feel ignored, you get angry, you get frustrated, something doesn't go as planned, you get depressed, you give up, victimizes you. That's the automatic reaction of the majority. They let the external world dictate their internal state. They are like leaves in the wind, moving according to what happens around them. But the reality is that no one makes you angry. No one it makes you feel bad. No one has the power to control you unless you give it to them. The Stoics had a golden rule. Between an external event and your reaction there is a space, and in that space is your power. What does this mean? That if someone insults you, you can choose to ignore them, respond calmly, or even do nothing. That if something goes wrong, you can choose to see it as a learning opportunity instead of a tragedy. It is you who decides how to react, not the world. How it helps you to eliminate the weak version of yourself. If you do not control your emotions, you live at the mercy of them. You will be impulsive. You will make stupid decisions, you will act without thinking, and in the end you will regret it. Anger can make you say or do things that destroy relationships. Sadness can make you paralyze and stop moving forward. Fear can make you never try anything big in life. When you learn to master your emotions, something incredible happens. Emotions still exist, but they no longer control you. If someone provokes you, instead of exploding, you smile and you keep going. If you feel sadness, instead of sinking, you accept it and you keep walking. If you are afraid, instead of letting it stop you, you move forward with courage. This control gives you an incredible advantage in life. While the others are driven by impulses and ruin their future, you become unflappable, strong, unbreakable. How to apply this lesson in your life? Learn to observe your emotions before you react. The next time you feel anger, sadness, or anxiety, instead of reacting right away, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is it really worth reacting? Even if you don't take it personally, most people act according to their own world, internal, not for you. If someone treats you badly, they probably have internal problems. Don't make their problem your own. Change the story in your mind. If something bad happens, don't see it as a disaster. Ask, what I can learn from this? How can I turn it into something useful? Use the 10-second rule. When something causes you, wait 10 seconds before you react. In most cases, you'll realize that it doesn't. It's worth losing your peace. Train your mind like a warrior. Emotional control is not something that is achieved in a day. It's a muscle that is trained. Every time you control a reaction, you become stronger. Lesson 3: adversity is your best ally, not your enemy. It's not because things are difficult that we don't dare. It's because we don't dare that things are difficult. Close. Listen this with attention. Every time life hits you, you have two options. Let it weaken you or let it strengthen you. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is in how they react to adversity. Most people complain when things get difficult. Why to me swing is not fair. This is too much for me. They victimize themselves. They look for culprits. They wait for someone to come to their rescue. But what they don't understand is that pain and difficulty are not there to destroy them, but to transform them. The Stoics knew something that most ignore. Adversity is the best teacher. Without challenges, without failures, without difficult moments, you would never develop the strength necessary to get where you really want to be. The strong version of yourself can only emerge in the fire of the difficulty. Think of any great figure in history. Any of them had an easy life. You think Alexander the Great conquered the world without battles, that Marcus Aurelius became emperor without problems, that Nelson Mandela fought for justice without suffering. All of them faced enormous trials, but instead of surrendering, they used those trials to grow. Adversity is like a problem. It's like in every problem you face. It's a weight that strengthens your mind and your spirit. If you never train, if you always look for the easy way, you will still be weak. Why this lesson is key to eliminating the weak version of yourself. If every time you face a problem you complain and give up, you will remain the same as always. If you avoid rejection, you will never develop self-confidence. If you run away from failure, you will never learn what you need to succeed. If you get depressed when something doesn't go well, never you will have the strength to achieve what you want. But when you change your mindset and start to see problems as an opportunity to strengthen yourself, everything changes. Imagine this: you have a business and you are doing badly. Instead of giving up, you learn from your mistakes and improve your strategy. You have a relationship that fails. Instead of regretting, you analyze what went wrong and become someone wiser for the next one. You go through a personal crisis and instead of sinking, you use it as an engine to grow how to apply this lesson in your life. Stop complaining every time you find yourself saying this is unfair or I can't take it anymore. Stop. Don't waste energy on regret. Use it to find solutions. Change the question why to me. Why can I learn from this every time life hits you? Instead of asking why this happens to me, ask how can I use this to improve? Accept that pain is part of growth. You cannot develop strength without going through hard times. Every obstacle is an opportunity to become stronger. Visualize adversity as a workout. Every problem is like a weight in the gym of life. If you face it with attitude, it will make you stronger. If you avoid it, you will remain weak. Remember that everything passes. Pain is not eternal. Every storm passes. But if you take advantage of it, it will leave you better than you were before. Conclusion of this lesson. The weak version of yourself runs away from problems. The strong version faces them, learns them, and overcomes them. So the next time life puts you to a difficult test, remember that it's not a punishment, it's a training. If you use it well, each blow will make you more invincible. Lesson C. You don't expect anything from anyone. Do it for yourself. If you want to improve, be responsible for your change. Don't wait for the world to help you. Epictetus. Here comes a truth that hurts. But if you accept it, you will become unbreakable. No one will come to save you. No one owes you anything. No one will solve your life for you. We live in a situation where many people expect others to do something for them. They expect their partner to make them happy, their boss to increase them the salary, that the government solves their problems, that a stroke of luck changes their lives, and while they wait, time passes and they are still in the same place. Let me tell you something that the Stoics understood. Centuries ago, if you want something in life, you have to go for it. If you wait for someone else to do it for you, you will live forever disappointed. People get bitter because they feel that others have let them down. My friend, doesn't he help me when I needed him? My boss doesn't recognize my effort. My family doesn't support me. But here's the problem. You should never have expected anything from them. First of all, when you eliminate expectations on others and take full responsibility for your life, you liberate yourself. You no longer rely on anybody. You don't feel disappointed. You don't spend time waiting anymore. Not because people are terrible, but rather because everyone is battling their own problems. You simply act because this lesson is key to eliminating the weak version of yourself. The weak version of yourself always looks for excuses. I can't do this because no one helps me. It's not my fault. It's my boss's fault, my partner, my family, the government. When someone supports me, then I'll start. But the strong version of yourself, you don't expect anything from anyone. If you need to learn something, look for the information, and he learns. If he wants to improve his body, he disciplines himself and achieves it. If he has a dream, he works on it every day, without depending on the motivation of others. When you realize that your life is 100% your responsibility, everything changes. You stop waiting, you stop complaining, and you start acting. How to apply this lesson in your life. Stop looking for external validation. You don't need anyone to tell you that you are enough. You yourself must be your greatest motivation. Assume that no one owes you anything. Not your family, your friends, not your partner. If someone helps you, great, but if they don't do it, you will still move on. If you want something, do it yourself. You want to improve, read, study, train, want success, work, don't complain. You want respect, earn it with your actions. Don't take things personally. If someone doesn't help you or doesn't give you what you expect, don't do it. See how a betrayal just means that relying on others was never a solid strategy. Do things for yourself, not for the approval of others. Don't exercise to like someone. Do it because you want to be strong. Don't work to please your boss. Work because you want to be better. Don't live seeking validation from others. Live because you want to be proud of yourself. Conclude this lesson. The weak version of yourself, wait. The strong version, act. The weak version of you is disappointed when others do not meet their expectations. The strong version knows that he never depended on anyone. So stop waiting, stop depending, stop blaming. Everything you want to achieve is in your hands. Only if you decide to act. Lesson C. Learn to be alone and be self-sufficient. The man who needs constant company to feel good about himself will never be free. Look around you. Most people are afraid of being alone. They jump from one relationship to another because they can't stand their own company. They surround themselves with toxic friends, just for fear of loneliness. They seek constant validation on social networks because they don't feel enough for themselves. That's the mirror of a weak mind. But if you cannot be alone with yourself, here is a reality that will transform your life. The same means that you are a prisoner of the approval of others. The Stoics understood that self-sufficiency is one of the greatest powers a person can have. When you learn to be alone without feeling empty, you become unbreakable. You no longer need others to fill you. You no longer need someone to validate your existence. You no longer seek companionship out of fear, but because you really want to share your life with quality people. The problem is that most can't stand silence, can't stand alone. Time doesn't know what to do with yourself when there's no distraction, and that's where emotional dependencies are born. Toxic relationships, the need for attention. If you really want to eliminate the weak version of yourself, you have to learn to be enough on your own. Why this lesson is key to eliminate the weak version of yourself. If you need the presence of someone else to feel good, you are a prisoner. If you depend on the validation of others to feel like a bear, you will never be free. If you cannot spend time alone without feeling anxiety, then you have not developed your inner strength. The weak version of yourself constantly seeks distractions and company because you do not know how to be at peace with yourself, but the strong version feels comfortable in its own skin. Enjoy its alone time and use that time to grow. Think about this. If you can be alone without feeling anxious, you will never depend on toxic relationships. If you can enjoy your own company, you will never feel desperate for the attention of others. If you can spend time in soledad, you will discover who you really are without outside influences. How to apply this lesson in your life? Start with small moments of solitude. Dedicate at least 30 minutes a day to being completely alone. Not a phone distraction. Use that time to consider, read, write, or just note your ideas. Do them because they make you happy, because they add value to yourself. Invest in your personal growth. Use your alone time to improve. Read books, learn new skills, work on your physique, strengthen your mindset. Redefine loneliness. Loneliness is not a punishment, it is a gift. It is the moment in which you can build yourself, understand yourself, strengthen yourself. Instead of seeing it as something negative, see it as an opportunity to grow. Conclusion of this lesson. The weak version of you needs constant companionship. The strong version is self-sufficient. The weak version of you seek external approval. The strong version is self-sufficient. So learn to be alone. When you discover that your own company is enough, you will become truly free. Lesson 6. Stop making excuses and assume full control of your life. As long as you continue to blame others for what happens to you, you will remain your slave. Only when you accept that everything depends on you will you be truly free. Epictetus, here comes an uncomfortable truth. No one is going to come to save you. No one owes you anything. No one is going to do the work for you. People have one thing in common for them. They always have an excuse. I don't have time. I don't have money. I'm not lucky. It's because my parents didn't teach me. It's the fault of the government, of my partner's economy, of God's universe. You know that all those excuses have in common. None of that changes the fact that you are still in the same place. The world does not stop because you have a justification for not moving forward. It does not care if you have a reason valid to remain weak. Life just keep going. Either you take control or you continue to be a victim of circumstances. The Stoics had a clear mentality. You don't control what happens to you, but you do control how you respond to it. If you keep looking for excuses, you will never be free. You will always depend on external factors. You will always have a reason not to do what you should do. You will always have a story to tell to justify why you are not where you want to be. But the moment you stop making excuses and take full control of your life, everything changes. You no longer expect conditions to be perfect. You no longer regret what you don't have. You just use what you have and you move forward, because this lesson is key to eliminating the weak version of yourself, the weak version of you, looking for excuses, the strong version looking for solutions. If you say, I don't have time, the strong version finds a way to organize better. If you say, I don't have money, the strong version look to learn new skills to generate it. If you say, I don't have support, the strong version move forward alone without waiting for anyone. If you let excuses control your life, you will never move forward. You will always have a reason not to do things, and the worst thing is that you will convince yourself that those excuses are real when they're really just a mental barrier that you've created yourself. The Stoics used to say that no matter how difficult your situation is, you can always do something about it. You may not be able to change the circumstances right away, but you can change your attitude, your effort, and your focus how to apply this in your life. Every time you find an excuse, change it to a solution instead of saying, "I don't have time, I'm going to get up earlier," or eliminate distractions. Instead of saying, "I can't because I don't have money," say, "I'm going to learn a new skill to earn more." Stop waiting. Perfect conditions will never be the perfect time. You'll never have all the money, all the time, or all the support. Start with what you have where you are and improve as you go. Assume that 100% of your life is your responsibility, no matter who you wanted hurt, who failed you, or how hard your past was. From today, it all depends on you. When you feel like complaining, stop and act. The complaint is a trap. Every time you find yourself saying this is unfair instead of complaining, do something about it. Surround yourself with people who don't accept excuses. If your friends also keep justifying their mediocrity, you will end up just like them. They seek to surround you with people looking for solutions, not excuses. Conclusion of this lesson: the weak version of you looking for excuses, the strong version takes action. The weak version of you gets stuck in "I can't." The strong version asks itself, "How can I?" So stop blaming others, stop waiting, stop justifying yourself. Assume total control of your life and become the person you really want to be. Lesson 7: face the pain and choose the suffering that is worthwhile. The pain we endure willingly is what makes us strong. The one we avoid weakens us. Marcus Aurelius. Here is a brutal truth: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. No matter who you are going to experience pain in life: physical, emotional, mental pain. No one escapes that. The problem is that most people do everything they can to avoid it. They walk away exercise because it hurts. They don't chase their dreams because failing hurts. They don't face their emotions because remembering the past hurts. But here's the paradox: when they avoid pain, they end up suffering more. They don't exercise and they end up with a weak and sick body. They don't chase their dreams and they end up trapped in an empty life. They end up becoming prisoners to their emotions instead of facing them. The truth is that you have to decide which pain or you want. Every time you push yourself in the gym, you destroy muscle to make it stronger. Every time you face a fear, you weaken it and become more powerful. Every time you work hard, you get closer to your purpose. The strong version understands that pain is a tool to grow. Every time you accept it voluntarily, you practice preparing for it. Remember that the pain is temporary, but the reward is eternal. The pain of exercising lasts an hour, but the satisfaction of having a strong body lasts a lifetime. The pain of working on your dream lasts years, but success lasts generations. Choose your suffering wisely. You will suffer anyway. Choose the suffering that is worthwhile. Repeat this phrase when something is difficult: this is not killing me, it is strengthening me. Conclusion of this lesson: the weak version of yourself runs away from pain and suffers in the process. The strong version faces the pain and becomes indestructible. So the next time you feel that something is difficult, remember that pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. Lesson 8: control your mind, or your mind will control you. The man who conquers others is strong, but the man who conquers himself is powerful. But let me ask you something: who rules your life? If you think the answer is you, think twice. Most people have no control over their own mind. They get up and the first thing they do is they see, because their mind drags them there without resistance. They get distracted by anything instead of focusing on their goals because their mind is not trained for concentration. They worry about things that haven't even happened because their mind is used to fear. They compare themselves to others. They feel envy. They get frustrated. They are filled with negative thoughts without even realizing that they themselves are allowing that mental garbage. And here is the key: if you don't control your mind, the Stoic said that true power was not in money or fame, but in absolute self-control. If you can't control what you think, what you feel, and how you react, you are a slave, even if you think you are free. How does this lesson help you eliminate the weak version of yourself? The weak version of you lets itself be dragged through its mind like a leaf in the wind. Wakes up and the first thing it does is watch notifications, waste time on social media, consume worthless content. It doesn't own your attention. But the strong version of yourself takes control, decides what to focus on, decides what to think about, decides what to spend your mental energy on, trains to be a warrior of the mind. If you master your mind, you can achieve anything. You can work on something for hours without being distracted. You can stay focused on your goals, no matter what happens. You can train your body without laziness stopping you. You can face problems without panicking. Everything you achieve or don't achieve in life depends on how you train your mind. How to apply this lesson in your life. Eliminate mental garbage. Your mind is like a garden. If you only feed it with social networks, negative news, and content without value, your garden will be filled with weeds. Stop consuming toxic content. Stop following accounts that only make you feel bad. Stop seeing things that don't bring you anything. Train your focus. Start with 10 minutes of total concentration on a single task. Don't allow interruptions. Expand that time gradually. Your attention is your greatest power. Protect it. Talk to yourself as a leader, not as a victim. Stop telling you things like "I can't," "It's hard," "I'm a failure." Start repeating yourself, "I'm strong," "I can." With this, nothing stops me. Observe your thoughts without reacting. When a negative thought arises, don't feed it, just observe it and let it go. You're not your thoughts, you're the observer of your thoughts. Do mind control exercises. Meditate 5 minutes a day. Take a deep breath before reacting emotionally. Train your ability to decide what to focus on. Conclusion of this lesson: weak version of yourself. It is a slave to your mind. It gets carried away by distractions, fears, and negative thoughts, but the strong version takes control, directs your attention, focuses on what is important, and becomes a leader of your own life. If you control your mind, you control your destiny. Be unstoppable but never impulsive. The more powerful a man is, the more he must govern himself. Seek a looks around you. Most people are like a sail in the wind. They let themselves be carried away by their impulses, emotions, and desires without control. They say things without thinking and then they regret it. They spend money they don't have on things they don't need. They get angry at any nonsense and lose control. They make hasty decisions and then pay the consequences. The difference between a leader and an ordinary person is that the leader acts with strategy, not with impulsivity. The weak person reacts without thinking. The strong person thinks before acting. The Stoics, they had a fundamental principle before any decision. Ask, is this the right thing to do, or is it just my impulse talking to me? It is not about being slow or indecisive. It is about moving with intention. Being unstoppable means that you move forward without stopping, but with direction. How does this lesson help you to eliminate the weak version of yourself? If you do not have control over your impulses, you will always be at the mercy of circumstances. You will spend money senselessly and you will end up in debt. You will say angry things that you wish you had not said. You will make promises that you will not be able to keep. You will get into unnecessary fights. But when you learn to control yourself, your life is transformed. Instead of reacting, you learn to respond. Instead of spending without thinking, you invest in your future. Instead of letting yourself be carried away by momentary emotions, you think about the long term. The weak version of you gets carried away by their emotions. The strong version acts with clarity, logic, and strategy. How to apply this lesson in your life. Before reacting, wait 10 seconds. If someone insults or provokes you, do not react instantly. Breathe. Ask, what do I gain by reacting? Do not make important decisions when you are emotionally upset. Never make decisions angry. Never make deeds with fear. Never make decisions with anxiety. Wait, breathe, and think cold. Learn to control your desire for instant gratification. Don't buy things you don't need just because you felt like it. Don't eat garbage just because you felt like it. Don't seek validation on social networks just because you feel insecure. Think about the long term before acting. Always ask, this will make me in 5 years, or it's just an impulse of the moment. Train your self-control daily. Start with small challenges. Fast for 12 hours. Read instead of watching networks. Control your tone of voice in discussions. Each time you control yourself, you become stronger. Conclusion of this lesson: the weak version of you moves without direction, reacts without thinking, spends without control, and acts out of emotion. The strong version moves with purpose, thinks before acting, and masters your impulses. If you want to be unstoppable, learn to control your desires and emotions before let them control you. Lesson 10: learn to be uncomfortable. Comfort is your enemy. Nothing great was achieved by those who stayed in their comfort zone. Seneca: look at your life, look at your habits, look at your routines. If everything in your day is comfortable, if you avoid the difficult, if you only do what you like, that's the reason why most people stay the same. Look for comfort at all costs. They stay in a job they hate because change is scary. They continue in mediocre relationships because being alone is uncomfortable. They don't exercise because the physical effort is hard. They don't read. They don't learn. They don't make an effort because thinking hurts. But here's the great truth. Everything that's worthwhile is on the other side of the discomfort. You want a strong body. You're going to have to go through the pain of training. You want financial independence. You're going to have to get out of mediocrity and take risks. You want confidence. You're going to have to face uncomfortable situations over and over again. What separates mediocre people from extraordinary people is their relationship with discomfort. The weak version of you flees from the uncomfortable. The strong version of you seeks it, faces it, and becomes more resilient every day. Why comfort is your worst enemy? Because comfort kills growth. If everything in your life is easy, it means you are not progressing. Think about the greats of history. You believe that Alexander the Great conquered the world by staying at home. You believe that Marcus Aurelius became a great emperor avoiding discomfort. You believe that any successful person went far because they had it easy. They went far because they accepted suffering. They faced challenges, became stronger. Comfort, it's a trap. It makes you feel safe. But in reality, it's destroying you little by little. Every day you avoid the effort, you become weaker. Every day that it's the easy thing to do, you lose the opportunity to grow. Every day that you settle for less, you move away from your best version. Discomfort is a gift. It's the fire that forges you. It's the pain that makes you resilient. It's the challenge that transforms you. If you learn to embrace discomfort, you become unstoppable. How this lesson helps you to eliminate the weak version of yourself. If you continue to avoid the difficult, if you continue to stay in your comfort zone, you will continue to be the same person as always. But if you decide to face the uncomfortable day after day, something magical happens. You stop fearing challenges. You become resistant to pain and failure. Your mind is strengthened and you begin to win trust. There's no other way. Either you choose to grow through discomfort or you choose to get stuck in comfort. How to apply this lesson in your life? Do something uncomfortable every day. Get up earlier. Go for a run. Even if you don't feel like it, talk in public. Even if you're scared, work on your goal, no matter how you feel. Don't look for shortcuts. Choose the hard way. You want to learn something? Don't watch summaries. Read the whole book. Want to exercise? Don't look for magic diets. Train for real. You want to improve your relationships? Don't avoid with uncomfortable actions. Speak clearly. When something hurts, don't run away. Keep going. If the gym hurts, keep training. If studying tires you, keep learning. If life hits you, keep getting up. Repeat this every time you feel discomfort. This is what makes me strong. This is what separates me from the rest. This is what it will take me where I want to be. Conclusion of this lesson. The weak version of you seeks comfort and ends up trapped in mediocrity. The strong version of you seeks discomfort, faces it, and becomes someone that no one can stop. So stop avoiding the difficult. Choose the uncomfortable. That's where the growth is. That's where your best version is. Lesson 11. Do what you said you were going to be, no matter how you feel. A man's strength is measured by his ability to keep his word, even when circumstances change. Epictetus, let me make you a direct question. How many times have you said you'd do something and then you didn't? You said you'd start exercising and you didn't. You said you were going to wake up early and you kept sleeping late. You said you were going to read that book, start that business, quit that bad habit, and nothing happened. Why? Because you waited to feel motivated. Here's the problem. If you only do things when you feel like it, you'll never accomplish anything. Great in life, the Stoics taught that emotions are fleeting, but discipline is permanent. If every time you say you will do something you back down, when you don't feel like it, your word loses value, and when your word loses value, you lose confidence in yourself. Why is it so important to comply with what you say? Because your mind is always watching. Every time you promise yourself something and you don't fulfill it, your subconscious learns that you can't trust yourself. Think about this. If a friend tells you, "I'm going to be there for you," and never delivers, you would trust him. If a boss promises you a raise and never gives it, I would respect it. The same thing happens to you. If you always fail to deliver what you promise yourself, your mind stops believing in you, and that's where the weakness begins. You start procrastinating. More you start to doubt yourself. You begin to see discipline as impossible. But when you do what you said you would do, no matter how you feel, something amazing happens. Your word begins to carry weight. You become trustworthy not only to others, but to yourself. Every right action reinforces your confidence, your discipline, and your personal power. How does this lesson help you eliminate the weak version of yourself? The weak version of you breaks his own promises, says he will do something but doesn't, says he will change but stay the same. He says he will be disciplined but looks for excuses. The strong version of you delivers no matter what. If he says he will get up early, he does it. If he says he will train, he does it. If he says he will quit a bad habit, he quits it. When you learn to do what you say, you become a powerful person because you no longer depend on motivation. You depend on your commitment. How to apply this lesson in your life: make small commitments and stick to it without excuses. If you say you'll get up early, do it without thinking. If you say you'll go to the gym, do it, even if it's raining, even if it's cold, even if you're tired. Don't talk too much. Demonstrate with actions. Don't say you're going to do something. Do it. Don't promise changes. Make changes. Words without action are garbage. Break dependence on motivation. You don't need to feel motivated. You just need to act. It doesn't matter if you don't feel like it today. You do it anyway. When excuses arise, ignore them. I'm tired. It doesn't matter. You still do it. I don't feel like it. It doesn't matter. Maybe you do it. Today is not the best day. It doesn't matter. You do it. Maybe you do it. Train your mind to be unstoppable. Every time you follow through on what you said, your confidence will grow. Every time you ignore an excuse, you will become stronger. Conclusion of this lesson: the weak version of you says many things, but does few. The strong version of you does what it says, regardless of whether it feels like it or not. If you really want to eliminate the weak version of yourself, do what you said you were going to do, without excuses, without depending on motivation. That's the difference between those who achieve things and those who only they dream of them.